This channel is supported by Truefire.
Well, what is this all about then? It's the Truefire Summer Music Festival. What I'm going to tell you about, you can get 1 month of All Access for just $1. The All Access, you can dip in and out of every single course on Truefire, so that's a really great way to get some awesome courses down you.
These two are, I think, some of the best value for money pieces of gear on the modelling kind of market. I think they sound really good. I think there's incredible sort of potential, and I think, yeah. Anyway, someone asked me, Mr. Leyland, if the TONEX One was worth the hassle, and this is, I think, the problem that I kind of want to talk about in this video, because anyone that I know that has got one of these, they've been impressed with the tones, and it comes with a little bit of a catch, which is the software and the dealing with the ToneX kind of back end and all of that sort of stuff that does actually kind of sour the experience of what I think is a pretty, really decent product, especially now that they've added effects to these. Like, you can reasonably get a lot out of these things for not much money. I think what has complicated the issue is that IK Multimedia is it's a company that I use on every single project. I use T-Racks for, you know, mastering and stuff like that. It's a company that has this existing system with the product authorizations, product manager, all of this sort of stuff, which has existed for a long time. Now, that sort of stuff doesn't fall apart too badly when you're not having to change things much at all. So normally the process for me is that I will download a plugin, like T-Racks, for example. I will, you know, put in my IK Multimedia password. Obviously, I won't remember what it is first time. It will take a few goes. This is the same with iLok, by the way, as well for me. It's just kind of like just a hassle, right? I don't know. It's kind of one of those things with plugins. It's like a necessary evil, I guess, because otherwise people just pirate them. But yeah, so that's like the process. You kind of log in your stuff, you get it sorted, you do it one time. But the problem with ToneX is it's a little bit of a different sort of thing in principle, right? Where you've got, all right, I need to get on, and then I'm getting onto ToneNet, which is where their tone models are. Then you've got this other aspect of it, which is like your presets part of it, which is stuff that you've made from existing tone models. Then you've got another part of it now, which is the ToneX editor, which actually sort of fixes some of this and simplifies things in some ways. So I'm kind of appreciative of this. I still think there's further that we could go with this, though, to actually streamline the process, so that it's no longer so much of a sort of faff to get in there. So essentially, I think maybe if we make a little bit of noise about this, we can get IK Multimedia to improve things even further, because I think there's incredible potential here. I'm going to show you some of the process behind this, but I think this is like the number one problem that ToneX is facing at the moment, really, because the tones are there, the hardware is good, the hardware is affordable. Yeah, that's the question. So I just asked a mate of mine that's had problems with it. I said, would you recommend TONEX One? And he said yes. We just talked about this the other day. So he said yes, 100%. It's sick. It's great. He's got a Podgo as well, but he uses the TONEX One as well. Just be prepared that you're going to potentially have a frustrating time with the editor and stuff like that. You know, it is a complex system at present. You know, you download, buy collections, all this stuff. They're in a few different places on the software. You know, you need to make sure you've actually downloaded the tone model and saved it, and then you can bring it across to here. It's a little bit of a complex web, but I think the tones are worth it. Getting into another problem that I think it kind of has for me personally is that actually creating tone models is prohibitively long for me, like 20 minutes, I think, to 40 minutes. And not only that, but that process is a little bit overcomplicated as well. So I think there is some streamlining that TONEX IK Multimedia could do, which would really, I think, take it to like a wider audience. Because I think people are a little bit wary because the software is not that easy. Similarly, actually, like on the pedal itself, like assigning things like an expression pedal onto the ToneX pedal is another thing which is like, in theory, some of these things which probably should be relatively easy, like assigning an expression pedal to do something on the ToneX, is kind of overly complex. And so we're now in a stage where we've actually kind of got two bits and pieces going on. So I've got ToneX here open as a VST, which was actually where I tend to prefer using it, if I'm honest. And then there's this ToneX editor. So what my process was, I had to kind of do a fresh install. You could be on here but not on the internet. So sometimes like this stuff needs refreshing and all this sort of stuff. So that's the ToneNet aspect, which is a bit confusing. Then you've also got this collections page where, back to collections browser, for example, you know, I could see the TheStudioRats and stuff like that. Friedman, Jason Sadites, all of these bits and pieces. So this is, it's kind of cool. Oh, he's got an Electra Dyne pack. So yeah, again, I think this is worth talking about because there's so much potential. We do download collections. So if I've now sort of altered the preset here, but I don't actually have access to this one here. So this is just browsing. This free one, can I? How would I get that onto my actual? Can I get the free sample part? I now know what I want. So if I were to look that up in tone models, tone model list, Electra Dyne. Is that in there? No, I need to look on ToneNet. Electro. There's two more Electra Dyne free ones there. So this one here. So how do I then get that? Right, then press download on that one. Downloading ToneNet model. So is that now on my thing? And now I can make a save of it. So Electra Dyne lead. So I could then make that into my own preset. So it's all a little bit, to me, just a little bit Then you've also got like the paid aspect of it, where, you know, I've got access to certain things from having demoed them in the past. Oh, this Matt Fig guy, where's he gone? So here's a free sample one here. Right, the tones are there. That's the cool thing, right? And I think that's what most people are going to find with this. I think. But I just think there could be a better way. Okay, and then we got the ToneX editor, which I think is like sort of the answer to a question. Again, we've got like a librarian here. I can go through my own presets, filter my presets, and then I could easily find those to load them into the actual unit. So they're on there now. Overwrite. Dumble lead is already on there. Electra Dyne lead is there, so I can then just load that onto the slot. So I'm not actually going through the ToneX now, but I just think there's so much potential that could be here, and the actual unit itself, like I really like what they've done with the place. It's just this part here to me is a bit of a problem, where it's like, all right, I've now, because this whole thing had kind of fallen apart, I've just done a real fresh install, and I've now got back to a position where it's like working again, and that's good, but it's just a bit on the complicated side in my opinion. I don't know, let me know your thoughts. Maybe I'm wrong on all of that, and I'd love to hear if you guys are actually getting on with it far better, because, you know, it's a piece of gear that I've sort of got behind a little bit. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Cheers for start recording. I asked the kid what she thought of ToneX, and she wasn't particularly fond. Why's that doing that? Anyway, so now I've got the ToneX Pedal plugged in now. So let's see if I can get this to work. Right, preset. Filter by my presets. That was relatively painless too. There is a learning curve, there is complications, not as easy necessarily as I'd like it to be, but it is possible.